What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy. What's happening right now is likely going to raise insurance premiums across the United States for multiple different types of insurance: home, car, and all sorts of different things. I'm going to give you the details here in this video, as well as millions of people are actually going to be losing their insurance, being cut. I'm going to give you the details here on this as well. Also, Homeland Security Director Alejandro Mayorkas has a stark warning for millions of people. I'm going to give the details here on this as well. Yeah, this is a wild episode. Let's jump right in. Thank you so much for liking these videos. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new videos when we go live here. And subscribe if you haven't yet. So take a look at this here. We got some big information coming out here. Okay, so because of the recent hurricanes and also natural disasters in other states, this is just the first headline here. Florida's biggest insurer cuts over 600,000 policies after Hurricane Helene. This was the first hurricane previously here. Well, not the first hurricane, but the big one here previously. Over 600,000 policies cut after Hurricane Helene. Now, this is raising insurance policies already here. Take a look at this here. Quote, what we do know is that the market will be affected by inflated pricing of replacement materials, as well as by storm chasing contractors and fraud. All of this will likely drive up claim costs and could increase premiums in the future, or very likely, if you ask me. Florida homeowners already pay the highest insurance premiums in the country. On average, $11,163 a year as of July 2024, according to data shared with Newsweek by the virtual insurance company Insurify. The national average premium at this time for the rest of the country was only $2,435. So this is almost 5 times as much. And this was really before this hurricane season. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and that was before a category 4 and a category 5. So things are getting absolutely wild here. And a property insurer of last resort. Yeah, so get this, Citizens Insurance, which is a property insurer of last resort in Florida, is set to hand over hundreds of thousands of policies to the private sector later this month due to overwhelming demand. Earlier this year, regulators in the Sunshine State approved proposals that would allow private insurers to take policies from the state's Citizens Property Insurance Corporation, which was created by the Florida legislature in 2002. Provides insurance to eligible Florida property owners who were unable to find insurance coverage in the private market. That's how bad it is in Florida. These are 600,000 plus people who are unable to find insurance in Florida. And Citizens is the largest insurer in the state. So think about that for a second. They're the largest insurer in the state. They were created by the Florida legislature because of how many people can't find insurance. Yeah. On August 2nd, Insurance Commissioner Michael Yaworski signed an order allowing 10 private insurance carriers to take on over 400,000 policies from citizens beginning in late October. This is before the two major hurricanes, according to a report by Florida Politico. And in the last 2 weeks, a further 235,000 were approved for removal beginning in November. The number of citizens policies has soared in recent years as private insurers have dropped customers and raised rates due to losses caused by payouts and litigations. Citizens has 1.25 million policies in force as of August 2024. And this was before these two major hurricanes. In August 2019, they had only 420,000 active policies. And experts are saying that this event and other natural disaster events, I'll talk about another one here in a second, is going to raise rates across the country, not just in Florida, because of the millions of claims of homes. Think about all the cars that are going to be underwater and the wildfires that we've had, hail storms all across the country. And the insurers have been taking massive amounts of claims and are raising rates in droves. Let me know if your insurance has gone up, your car insurance, your home insurance, any other type of insurance. And remember that if you have a loan on your house or a loan on your car, or really just to drive in any state, you're required to have car insurance. So you're required to have these type of insurance, and these insurance companies know it, and they're raising rates because the claims are out of control. Yeah, in fact, State Farm in California just dropped coverage for another 70,000 homes and apartments here. The changes, quote, the changes are coming faster than the very fires everyone is worried about. Yeah. So, according to CBS News, the largest insurer in Golden State is California, is discontinuing coverage for another 72,000 dwellings in the zip code zip code 95033, Santa Cruz, where over 65% of policies will be halted. Meanwhile, the community covered by the zip code 95409 in Santa Rosa will see 48% of policies pulled. Yeah. So you can see here, this is type of stuff is happening across the country. People are literally having their policies canceled or their rates jacked up. And even if you're not in one of these states, this type of stuff is happening across the country. Hail damage is going wild across the country. And even if you're not affected by any of this stuff, the insurance companies as a whole are raising their rates for almost everybody. Meanwhile, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has a stark warning here. Look at these headlines. FEMA facing money shortages, issuing warnings about Hurricane Milton, one of the strongest hurricanes ever, already reported winds of up to 180 miles an hour. Mayorkas says FEMA has no more disaster funds, but a inspector general report says the agency is sitting on billions. Homeland Security Inspector General says agency has billions in untapped funds for storm relief. As we're hearing different information, here's what he has to say directly. You'll hear something different from him at first, and then a different story from him near the end of this. Take a listen to this for a minute or two.
And joining me now is Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, of course, who oversees FEMA and so much more. Secretary Mayorkas, first of all, thank you. I wanted to ask, how does the misinformation impact relief efforts?
Very, very significantly, Andrea. Thank you for having me. It is extraordinarily damaging. Most of all, it is extraordinarily damaging to survivors of Hurricane Helene, of natural disasters. Individuals lose trust in their government. They are reluctant to seek the assistance that they need to meet their immediate demands: food, water, shelter. They don't seek it. They are entitled to it. They need it. We implore them to ignore the false information that is being spread and to seek the help that we have available to them. It is also extremely demoralizing to our federal our emergency response personnel, the state and local emergency response personnel who are risking their lives in the service of those in need. When we reach into flooded zones, when we reach into a home that has been destroyed to assist another individual, we don't ask about their party affiliation. We are there to help. And they need to understand that. They need to trust us. They can rely on us. We have assistance for them. That is what these extraordinarily heroic individuals are dedicated to doing.
Now, something that is not a rumor, as far as we know, is how stretched and understaffed FEMA is. New York Times, for instance, reporting that of the 50 disaster operation directors, only one was available as of Monday. So how is FEMA going to put all of this together with back-to-back hurricanes?
FEMA prides itself on the slogan of flexible FEMA. We can meet the needs of Hurricane Helene survivors and the individuals who will be in need as a result of the devastating Hurricane Milton. That is what FEMA does. It does it in support of state and local officials. And we have been directed by President Biden, by Vice President Harris, to not only dedicate the FEMA resources, the resources of the Department of Homeland Security, but the resources of the entire federal government. And that is indeed what we are doing. When we take a look at the height of Hurricane Helene, there were 5.1 million people without power. That number has been reduced by 4.8 million. At the height of Hurricane Helene, there were approximately 3.4 million people without communication. That number has been reduced by approximately 3.1 million. We have tens of millions of liters of water and food and commodities available in anticipation of Hurricane Milton. This is what the brave men and women of FEMA and all of the brave men and women in an emergency response do for a living. They dedicate themselves to the well-being of others. We have the resources to meet the demand.
Now, you can say how much has been accomplished, but of course, for the hard-pressed people in some of those mountain areas, for instance, of North Carolina, that's where it's really critical. Do you need Congress to come back in order to allocate more funds? Do you need a supplemental now with back-to-back hurricanes and Congress now out for the political season? They won't be back till January.
Andrea, two things. One, there are indeed people suffering from the devastating impacts of Hurricane Helene. And one of the great challenges is the fact that the flooding has made areas very difficult to access. We have to save people. Life and safety is our first priority. And then we can begin in the hardest hit areas, the most remote areas, to clear the debris and reach people in need. The fact of the matter is, and we have been clear throughout, and let me reiterate, that we have the resources we need. We have the funding that we need to meet the challenge of Hurricane Helene and the challenge of Hurricane Milton. But we are operating on a continuing resolution that is not stable funding for the long haul. And therefore, we need a real budget and not a Band-Aid for the long haul, because the gravity and frequency of extreme weather events have only increased as a result of climate change and its real-life impact on the people of this country.
So do you want Congress to come back?
The president noted correctly that he has asked Congress to come back and provide funding so we have stability for the long haul. That is what we plan for. But let me be clear again that we can meet the needs immediately.
And because of climate change, do you think?
Yeah, so let me know your thoughts on this. He actually wrote here, take a look at this. While FEMA's disaster relief fund has the resources it requires right now to meet immediate needs, the fund does face a shortfall at the end of the year. And this is really before Milton, which is going to affect millions of people. Without additional funding, FEMA would be required to forego longer term recovery activities in favor of meeting urgent needs. Congress should provide FEMA additional resources to avoid forcing that kind of unnecessary trade off and give the communities we serve the certainty of knowing that help will be ongoing both for the short and long term. Yikes. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Don't forget to like these videos, share this video with anybody that needs to hear this information. And if you haven't yet, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on new updates when we go live with new videos. Click here to see a major hack affecting millions of people, or click here to see a major virus spreading rapidly. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.